So, as I've continuously said, one thing we are about on this channel, we are all about hope, positivity, and being positive about the effects that we can have on our politics and especially the change we can bring to our country. But from time to time, you do get the sense of, lack of hope in a bit of things, a bit of, So I understand where people might be tired of having, we've been for the past 4 years of trying to, fight against Brexit, and there's now a bit like, well, what can we do now? Where can we go from here? And I do think, as I've said before, especially for the left in this country, we are in a good position, because already, one of the strongest, or should we say, loudest groups that were for Brexit are already shouting from the rooftops that their business and that their industry is not going to be here for much longer. Fishing boats have barely gone out, maybe once or twice, or they've gone and done what they call the local catch, which is barely even a quarter of what they would normally catch. So it's really important, especially that we look, and especially now, try and pull those fishermen back. Because if we can turn the fishermen against the Brexiteers and get them to say we were better off in the EU, and businesses already saying we want less trade friction, and what they mean by that is they don't want to fill out all these extra forms they've got to fill out because that is extra cost. What is it? 75 pages a fisherman or a fisherman has to fill out for one lorry load of fish, and that's probably an equal amount, for any business out there that exports to the EU. We've already seen businesses going, we're not going to invest in the UK side of things, we're going to invest in our European stuff. Cadbury's recently said that they are going to heavily invest in their Munich and Poland, I can't remember the factories in Poland, in those factories because of Brexit, because they need to increase output in those factories to compensate for the now border that now exists between the UK and the European Union. So there is a lot of really hope and positivity because we can turn all these things back on the Brexiteers and they've got no comeback for it. So, like there was the foxhole. Oh my word! Someone introduced me to this a couple of days ago, and and thank you so much, because this is a very much a pro nationalist, pro Brexit blog type alternative media thing, and they were praising the thing that we had done a trade deal with Ghana. Ghana is nothing to our trade deals. That is nothing to us. The EU will always be our most important trade partner. You cannot alter the flows of trade, because this is what Liz Truss is trying, and especially other Brexiteers conservatives are trying to do in joining the TTP. But again, as we've said before, many of the TTP rules are very similar to those rules that we had when we were in the European Union. So why are they not outraged about those rules? But there you go. But anyway, yes, on to some hopium. Before we do get into that, please do remember to click the like and share button. Also down below there is a link to my Patreon page and a What If Nation link, and thank you very much to those people who do support the channel that way. So this comes from the New European. The title is "There's No Time for Pessimism from Pro-Europeans." So, judging from your... Oh, there we go. There we go, sorry about that. So, judging from your readers' letters, they are being too pessimistic on our rejoining the EU. Just because they can't see an immediate pathway unfolding doesn't reduce the inevitability of market forces which resolutely point to this conclusion. We've said this before. Many commentators, for example, predict the swift unravelling of the Soviet Empire due to market forces. Ignore what politicians say, just concentrate on the facts. That is true. Market forces will be what puts us back into the EU. And as I've said, I think it will be a slow but gradual slide back in. But especially this government at the moment ain't going to have any attitude or anything like that. In fact, they are going to go out of their way as much as they possibly can to try and appear tough and like one-upping the EU, like the whole thing with the EU ambassador denying him diplomatic status. You know, it's pointless, it's childish, and just a complete game of one-upmanship. But that's what this current party is going to do. And as I've said, especially this year, any excuse to justify Brexit. And I guarantee you, at some point, we may see, I don't know if it'll happen this year, but a progress report on Brexit. I can fully see something like that happening. But we'll have to see. So, a quick tour of newspapers and political parties will reveal that some wish to take up the battle, so it's not apparently completely and recently lost. The political parties now look either exhausted or brainwashed. Yet we have to rejoin the European mainstream somehow. Failure will lead not only to a rapid falling standards of living relative to Europe, but also a despair among investors who have the ability and desire to place their own country on an upward trajectory. If we cannot be bothered with yet more referendum games, we need one general election in which the deciding issue is whether to rejoin or not to rejoin the EU. It will be glaringly obvious that Brexit has not worked, and it will therefore become equally glaringly obvious that we have got to do something about it. I agree, and again, it's only a matter of time. Like I say, by the next general election, who knows what could have changed by then. Like I say, 4 years, 2024 is a long way off. What are we, 2021, so 22, 23, 24, 3 years away. That's a long time, and stuff in a year can change like that. So we just have to really, again, keep up hope, keep up momentum, and keep calling out the failures, and especially pointing out when Brexit isn't working, and sooner or later, even the Conservatives themselves will cave into it. Because, as we've said before, currently this party is being run by the free market fundamentalists, who are all about the free market and letting the market decide things. But because they've currently taken over what we call the parliamentary party, doesn't mean that the more moderate Conservatives aren't there as well. They are there in the party, just not in the parliamentary party. And the thing is, they are the ones who businesses are going to be putting pressure on, saying, we hate all this extra red tape, we hate all this extra friction, we want you to do something about it. If not, we're going to take our donations elsewhere. When that starts to happen, they'll start to go, okay, time to start wheeling these free market fundamentalists back in. Currently, they can't at the moment yet. Like I say, this to them is their, quote, time to shine and time to prove that they were right and that they can, do stuff. But as we've said before, these guys are complete ideologues. And if something starts to go wrong or starts to fail, then it's not going to be because of Brexit. It's not going to be because of their policies. They're not going to suddenly think that their ideology is wrong or there's something they need to change about it, because to them, their ideology is all. And that is going to be, certainly going forward, one of the biggest advantages we have against them, because it's going to be so obvious that a lot of their stuff just isn't working. Like I say, we've had, a decade now of austerity. That is what has brought Britain to the brink. that is also what contributed to us being so woefully unprepared about the pandemic, not just Boris Johnson's leadership. And we cannot go through another decade of austerity. And especially, probably this year or next year, Rishi Sunak is going to come for all that money that, he now owes. And that ain't going to come from tax rises on the rich or anything like that, or raising business rates, or, as we've said before, one-off millionaire tax. These things are going to be, left to Labour to push for. And I don't, and people say, why do you always focus on Labour? Because Labour is the biggest party in this country. Forget about the Liberal Democrats, forget about the Greens, doesn't matter. We saw what happened when people thought that they could try and force a hung parliament, or try and force another coalition, where people stupidly thought, for some good reason, let's shift our votes away from Labour to the party that always comes in third, because we'll somehow pass the Conservatives and beat Labour and somehow get in. Didn't work out, guys. Didn't work out at all. That's why we lost a lot of those red seats. And, I'm sorry to say, that was a lot of things that went wrong. But again, I was back here on this channel going, please do your research before you decide to vote that way. But anyway, there is large amounts of hope to really be had. And there is a path to rejoining the EU. It might not be obvious now, but trust me, market forces will be the deciding factor that forces back in. And yes, even Conservatives will have to yield to those market forces. Maybe not the free market fundamentalists at the moment, but trust me, there are a lot of moderate Conservatives who aren't in the parliamentary party who are now looking at these guys that are in and going, what on earth are they doing? And as soon as that starts to happen, the idea of us rejoining the European Union, rejoining the single market, all the benefits that we've now lost, will become such sought after things that rejoining should be the easiest thing ever. But at the moment, the Brexiteers are not going to allow anyone to damage their precious Brexit, because to them this is their ultimate ideological goal, and you can see them now trying to fulfill this ideology by trying to get all these quote wonderful trade agreements and joining the TTP. Again, it's not going to be worth it. So as always, thanks for watching. Please remember to hit that like and share button, and of course down below there is a link to my Patreon and a one-off donation link, and thank you very much to all the people who do support the channel that way.